Sup people, it's Multiplier here. What I thought I'd do today is kind of give you some explanations as to why I don't use drum racks in Ableton Live. So quite often I'll post pictures of my project files on my Facebook or my YouTube. They'll look a bit like this, and then people will be like, damn son, your tracks be looking cray cray, where your drum racks at? Because that's how my kind of fans talk. And then I have to kind of explain in like a really small comment exactly what's going on, which is quite hard to do. So I thought I'd do a proper video kind of explaining it all, because I don't think I'm kind of normal in the way I do things, but I certainly just find this kind of workflow suits me a lot more. And that's the cool thing about Ableton is there's no right or wrong way to do things. You can kind of just do it kind of however you like, which is pretty sweet. So, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. Pretty much all of these are drum samples. There's a few sound effects and a few noises and stuff, but for the most part, it's kind of drums. So we kind of open all these up. I can show you what I mean. So, got a lot of drums. It's pretty crazy. But the reason why it's kind of nice to see it all in audio is I can really just see what's going on in terms of the waveform and the sounds and what's going on in terms of the attack. And the decay, and the tails of sounds. It just allows me to kind of see a lot more accurately what's going on. It also allows me to chop things up a lot better and kind of clean things up as and when I need to. In terms of just kind of moving the tail bits of snares back or forth, or moving them around, or just kind of keeping it a bit more kind of in control, which is what I like. And just kind of seeing exactly what is going on at any particular time. There's no kind of imagining what's going on or hearing what's going on. You can literally see what is going to happen. And that just kind of suits the way I work a lot better. So I'll show you a few of the details that I look out for and why I look at things in audio clips. So the main one is probably going to be fades. So if I kind of bring up the fades, I did a whole video on this, but I'll show you it now. By default, if you go into something like live preferences, there's an auto fade setting somewhere. Yeah, you go. Zoom in, create fades on clip edges. Now that's a pretty good thing in general, because what that does is, as you can see with this down sweep here, we've got the fade selected. It just brings the volume up over like 4 milliseconds or something at the beginning of each clip, and that stops a weird clicking sound that can happen if your sample's not quite perfect, which is kind of great, like most of the time, because you don't really hear that there's kind of this really subtle, really quick fade, but it stops the clicking. However, when it comes to drum sounds, a lot of the time you don't want that fade there, because that's kind of getting rid of the actual sound. So you can see with this bass drum that I made, there's no fade at all. I've kind of zoom in or something. By default, the fade would be out here, and then it wouldn't be too big of a deal in this particular case. The drum would still sound all right, but I made the drum perfectly to begin with, so I don't really want any fades to kind of interrupt things. A bit more obvious of an example would be this kind of acoustic snare right here, where, as you can see, I pulled the fade all the way back. Now, if the fade was like it would be normally, there would be this kind of weird slope, and that would get rid of some of the punchiness, some of the attack of the snare. And to be honest, you just wouldn't see that shit if it was in a kind of a MIDI clip, or it was in a drum rack or something. Now, you could use the kind of the envelopes and kind of the settings in the drum rack to kind of do the same thing, kind of have the same result as I have by getting rid of the fade. However, it's just a lot easier for me to see things and visualize things if I kind of see what's going on with the waveform, instead of having to kind of piece together and hear or imagine what's going on, if that makes sense. Which is pretty cool shit. I also find it's just quite nice to see literally exactly what's going on. And there's going to be no messing about. There's going to be no plugins that are going to be misbehaving, or kind of things aren't going to be kind of coming in at the wrong time. Things are going to be literally just happening exactly where I want them, because they're in audio. And you can also see kind of subtleties with the volume and stuff. So I wonder if I can find some snares or something with some subtle volume changes. I think must be some snares somewhere. There's snares everywhere in this track. This is ridiculous. Well, how can I not find some good example snares? I think there's some grey ones. Let's go up. Let's look in. Let's do some zoom in. These grey ones are doing something crazy. No, not those. That's ridiculous. This is a disaster. I should have prepared. Right, this is all falling apart. This is. Are you still there? Right. Rolling snares. There you go. Found them. They were grey. So as you can see with some of these snares, you can see like this snare, for example, is a slightly lower volume than this snare. And we can confirm that by clicking it, loading up the kind of the sample editor and seeing that the volume's pulled down minus 1.86 dB versus these snares. So you can really see those kind of subtle changes that I programmed in, just a lot more accurately. Whereas you could definitely do that with drum racks and stuff, either using the velocity information or just what. There's loads of ways of doing it. But I just really like to see exactly what's going on. I just find it easier, which is pretty cool shit. So they're going to be the main reasons I use kind of audio clips and not drum racks. However, there are a few other bonuses, stuff like it saves on your CPU power. Whenever you're using kind of MIDI and kind of processing things kind of as you go along, using CPU power, which to be honest, you could put to better use elsewhere. I mean, it's fine for me on my computer, and I'm sure a lot of you are fine with it as well. But a lot of you are kind of struggling with your CPU, so it can be nice just to take some strain off, which is cool shit. Now, it's not to say drum racks are kind of pointless. There's a lot of reasons why they're really cool. I won't really go into them now, because if you use them, use them. They certainly can be a lot nicer for kind of coming up with ideas. But a lot of the times when I'll come up with a cool idea in a drum rack or something, I can spend just as long kind of then taking it apart and putting everything into audio than if I just kind of started with audio in the first place. So it's just kind of what works for you, and this is what works for me, which is the whole point of the video, I guess, is explaining why I work in the way that I do, which is cool. Knowledge, it's in your brain, it's insane. I've been Multiplier. If you have any questions or whatever, or different workflows that you like, let me know, and we'll comment it up. Should be sweet. Sweetness. Been Multiplier. This has been a video of 6 minutes, 7 minutes, pretty much duration.